What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another Euro 2024 fantasy video. In this one, I'm going to discuss some of the best defenders at every single price point that you might want to consider for your team, who's the most attacking, but also who's likely to get clean sheets as well. And some of the data I've used in this video is from 11ify.com. This is not sponsored or anything. This is someone that I've followed for a very long time, and they're producing a bit of content for the Euros, and they've got the percentage chance of clean sheets for every team for every game during the match day. So when we go through the video and you see the fixture and then a percentage in brackets, that's the chances for a clean sheet. So if you want to check out this as well, 11ify.com, there's other stuff on there. Like I said, not sponsored whatsoever. They were happy for me to share this, but that's what I've used for the video. So let's get talking about the defenders, starting with the premiums. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like, hit that subscribe button. Let's get into it. All right, let's start with the most expensive defenders. First of all, you got 4 players at 6 million euros. So that's Van Dijk from the Netherlands, Cancelo and Diaz from Portugal, and then Kieran Trippier from England. Now, with Van Dijk, he's absolutely nailed. Decent goal threat, good for ball recoveries as well. There is a chance, and I've spoken about this in other videos, that he's on penalties. Koeman did come out and say that he was ahead of Gakpo, for example. But a lot of Netherlands fans have said that, you know, if Depay is on the pitch, he's going to take them instead. So I probably wouldn't pick Van Dijk for the sole reason he could be on penalties, but it's a potential bonus factor, even if the chances are slim of that happening. The main issue with picking him at 6 million is, one, they play France in Matchday 2, so very unlikely to get a clean sheet in a game like that. As always, if you're playing a chip that week, then it doesn't matter quite so much because the clean sheet chances for Poland in Matchday 1 are pretty good, and against Austria in Matchday 3 are not bad. But also there are cheaper ways into that Netherlands defence. So Koeman has confirmed that Verbruggen is going to be first choice goalkeeper. He's 4.5 million euro. And once we start seeing the friendlies ahead of the tournament for the Netherlands, we're going to know whether Frimpong or Dumfries is going to get that spot in the team. I mean, they might both get a match and then we won't know for sure. But hopefully we get that kind of information. And both of those are 5.5 million. And if they play in attacking positions, so if Dumfries is a wing back in a back three, for example, or Frimpong's given, you know, license to go forward, even playing as a fullback, you can get both of those players for 0.5 million less. So I like Van Dijk. And if Koeman came out and confirmed he's on penalties, even if Depay is on the pitch, then he would definitely be in my team. But I think there are cheaper alternatives in the Netherlands backline, basically. With Cancelo and Diaz, as long as Cancelo is nailed, and I think he is, I can't see any reason to pay the same price for Ruben Diaz. Of course, he could go and get you a goal. He's absolutely nailed on. But Cancelo got 3 goals during qualifying. We know how good he can be going forward. And his returns for Portugal over his career per 90 minutes are 0.34 goals and assists. That's pretty decent for a defender. So I think whichever chip strategy you're on, a Portugal defender looks pretty good. Their best chance of a clean sheet is in Matchday 3 against Georgia. But the odds aren't bad for Czech Republic or the Turkey game either. So I really like Cancelo if you can stretch to that much money. There is potentially cheaper alternatives in the Portugal defence like Dalot, and we'll talk about him later on. But between Cancelo and Diaz, there's really no competition for me. I can't see why you would buy Ruben Diaz instead of Cancelo. And then Trippier is, for me, he's a no-go. He probably will play, but he'll be left back. So Kyle Walker will absolutely be first choice right back for England. Luke Shaw, as far as we know, by the time this video comes out, we might know the England squad. I'm pretty sure Luke Shaw is going to go, but not be fit for the start of the tournament. He's going to be needed later on in the knockout rounds. So Trippier will play left back, but that kind of negates his attacking ability, right? You want him on the right, and there are cheaper defenders in that England team. And obviously, if Luke Shaw does come back at some point, Trippier is going to be back out. I just don't see why you would spend 6 million. If he was going to play right back and given a bit of license to get forward and obviously be on some set pieces as well, maybe you consider it because England are one of the strongest defences at the tournament. But I just think playing left back, even if he does end up taking some set pieces, just not worth that price. So I would ignore him. So next up, we've got the 5.5 million euro bracket. You've got Rudiger from Germany, who look great for clean sheets in all their group stage games, especially with home advantage. The first 2 match days in particular look great against Scotland and Hungary. So it's worth going for a Germany defender. But as I've said many times now, Rudiger at 5.5 is just not good enough value when you can get Jonathan Tah for 4.5 million and Maximilian Mittelstadt for 4 million. There's just much better value in that Germany defence. In the latter rounds, where there's more money to spend and less teams to choose from, maybe Rudiger will be an option. But I just don't think he really is for the group stages. You've also got Theo Hernandez for France. He's definitely France's most attacking defender. I looked at his career stats over 25 games at international level. He's on 0.42 goals and assists per 90 minutes. He absolutely will return in the group stage, or should do anyway. I guess it's only 3 games, but you'd expect at least one attacking return for him. Now, their most difficult fixture is Matchday 2 against the Netherlands, so that will depend on what chip strategy you're playing. But if you're using a chip in Matchday 2, you can obviously take him out of the team and just have him for 1 and 3, where they got Austria and Poland. So I think he looks pretty good. They have got Ferland Mendy in the squad as well, but I would assume that Theo Hernandez is going to be first choice. So I think he's a great option. Lots of people are saying I haven't mentioned him enough. I do really like him, but I think it really depends on what chip strategy you're on. For someone like me who's still thinking about going limitless Matchday 3 and saving the wild card, I don't necessarily want a French defender for Matchday 2, and I've only got so many free transfers to use. So he is great, and I think he is worth paying 0.5 million over the other French defenders, but it doesn't mean that he's essential or anything like that. With Vardiol, I think for me, he's a complete avoid unless you can transfer him in Matchday 2 or you're using a chip in Matchday 2, because Croatia looked good against Albania. High chance of a clean sheet in that game. But the other games in Matchdays 1 and 3 are Spain and Italy. It's just not worth it when he's going to cost 5.5 million. He is apparently going to play left back, not centre back, which some Croatia fans don't seem that happy with, having a quick look on Twitter. But ultimately, he's going to be in that the team, which is good. But I wouldn't expect him to necessarily be the same kind of left back as he is with Man City. We know he's good in front of goal, right? He scored plenty of goals, especially at the latter stage of the season in the Premier League and obviously in the Champions League as well. But I just don't know if we should be expecting that for Croatia. And I just think outside of Matchday 2, he's probably avoided. It's just a bit too much money, especially when you can get players like Hernandez and maybe one of the attacking Netherlands players as well, which we'll talk about in a second. Kyle Walker, 5.5 million. Again, absolutely nailed on for that right back position. And England's chances for a clean sheet in all the games are pretty good. Their most difficult game is probably Denmark in Matchday 2, but I think they're capable of getting a clean sheet in all of those games. But Kyle Walker's just not attacking enough. And again, there's almost certainly going to be a cheaper way into that England defence. So I would probably ignore him. I've got Dumfries on the list. It could be that Frimpong is the better option. We need to see some friendlies from the Netherlands, and we need to hear from the manager to see who he is going to favour. It might be that they both play, possibly. I think it's unlikely, but it could happen. Dumfries has been great in previous tournaments. 4 games, 2 goals at Euro 2020, 1 goal, 2 assists in 5 games at the World Cup. If this guy plays, he does always seem to get attacking returns. They've got France in Matchday 2, which is not ideal, but Matchday 1 and 3 against Poland and Austria look great. And I think out of everyone on this 5.5 million list, and I'm going to talk about Joachim Mæhle in a second, if they were all nailed to play 90 minutes every game, I think Dumfries is probably where I'd put my money in terms of attacking returns. Mæhle and Hernandez are good as well. I don't know, Dumfries just seems to have that fantasy appeal when it comes to tournaments, but it might be that Frimpong plays instead. It might be that they play a back 4 and Dumfries is not as attacking. We need to see the friendlies, but I would definitely keep an eye on a Netherlands defender outside of Matchday 2. And then Joachim Mæhle is the last one on the list. He's another Euro fantasy legend. In 6 games at Euro 2020, he got 2 goals, 1 assist. And I think Denmark have got a great chance of a clean sheet in Matchday 1, specifically against Slovenia. Lots of people have said I haven't talked about Denmark enough, and I think that's fair. Ericsson probably should have got mentioned too at some point. But if you're someone that's looking to use all your chips in the group stages, I think Joachim Mæhle for Matchday 1 is looking like a bit of a differential. I'm just going to double check here what his current ownership is. I mean, people will remember him from before, how good he was. It's probably, 2%. He's a massive differential if you're playing all your chips in the groups. I think the fact that he plays England in Matchday 2 is not great for those of us looking to limitless Matchday 3. But for Matchday 1 only, huge differential. I'd be pretty keen on him. I think that looks like a great game. And also last night, Denmark played a friendly. He created 3 chances, had 4 shots, missed 1 big chance as well. He is involved playing in that left wing-back position. So I do like him, but I don't think he's someone that I'd want to carry through to the other games. Like England, definitely not. And even Serbia is going to be quite difficult, I would say, for a clean sheet. So next we've got the €5 million defenders, and first of all it's Grimaldo from Spain, who potentially I really like. We know how attacking he can be. We've seen it for Bayer Leverkusen. 33 games in the league this season, 10 goals, 13 assists, absolutely incredible. It is worth pointing out that a lot of those games, looking on transfer market, he was left wing back or even kind of left winger. It's probably not going to be the case for Spain. If he does play, it's going to be left back, but he's still going to be able to get forward in some of those games. So we probably should kind of temper our expectations a little bit in terms of attacking returns, but there is still potential there if he gets the minutes. I don't know if he's 100% nailed on. We saw him start for Spain last night, but I wouldn't say that was a completely full strength Spain team or anything like that. So it's not guaranteed. And the other issue, I suppose, is the fixtures. Croatia is not bad in Matchday 1, but then you've got Italy Matchday 2. I think Matchday 3 is really where Grimaldo might shine against Albania. I know I've talked about them a lot as a team to target, but the clean sheet percentage shows that 54% chance of a clean sheet for Spain in Matchday 3, only 23% against Italy and 30% against Croatia. So if he is going to play and be attacking, I don't mind him for Matchday 1, but I just look at the other players on this list and think some of them are maybe a little bit better. And also for 0.5 million more, you get some really good defenders too. So I like Grimaldo. I'm just not convinced I'm going to have him in my team by the time we get to the deadline. DeMarco looks great for Italy. 5 million, obviously, because he's on this part of the video. And it's Albania first game. Difficult fixture against Spain Matchday 2. Then obviously they've got Croatia Matchday 3. I think he's good for anyone that's got a transfer spare for him going into Matchday 2 to change to someone else. Maybe even Vardio, for example. Or someone that's playing all their chips. I think Italy defence to target in Matchday 1 looks good. I've said this in other videos. We probably will have a 4.5 million defender from Italy that's going to play, but I'm not sure anyone knows for sure exactly who that's going to be right now. And then the other defender that people have been looking at is, let me just find him here, Di Lorenzo, but he's 5.5. So I just don't see why you would pay the extra because it looks like DeMarco's pretty much nailed on. So I really like Italy defender for Matchday 1. Dalot is, I would say, potentially incredible value because Portugal looks strong for all their group games, as I discussed with Cancelo. He can be attacking as well, although he's not going to be as attacking as Cancelo is, but he's 1 million less. If he gets minutes, he's great. There's just some question marks over that because you've got Mendes in that team as well. So I'm pretty sure Cancelo is going to play. It's just about who gets that spot next to him. I was looking at Dalot. He started 6 out of 8 qualifiers, but Mendes was injured for some of that. So it's hard to know whether he's definitely going to play. And he didn't start the last friendly for Portugal, but neither did Bruno Fernandes or Bernardo Silva. All those players were involved in the FA Cup final. So I think he's potentially great value, but I'm not sure right now I can guarantee you that he's going to be in that Portugal squad. But we'll keep an eye on that. We'll maybe cover that again closer to the deadline. I think for England, I've mentioned about ignoring Trippier and Walker. There will be a cheaper defender that starts for England. Maguire and Stones, if they're fit, are absolutely nailed to be the centre-back partnership. With Harry Maguire, you've got decent threat from set pieces as well. John Stones is no slouch, but I think for England, Maguire is the one that they target, and you've got good clean sheet chances the whole way through. I just don't know if Maguire is going to be fit for Matchday 1. So if John Stones is, he might be the defender to go for, especially if you're not looking to blow all your chips in the group stages. If you are, and you're looking to wildcard and limitless in Matchday 2 and 3, whichever way around you decide, if Maguire's not fit, I would say that the next in line to start at centre-back is probably Gay. I mean, it could be Konza Dunk. We don't know who's in the squad yet, at least at the time of recording. Again, you probably will find out after this video. But I think Gay would be next in line to play if Maguire doesn't, and he's only 4.5. So potentially, for anyone that's on a chip strategy where you're using all of them in the groups, you might have an England defender against Serbia, 37% chance of a clean sheet for 4.5. That seems quite good. So keep an eye on the England situation. You've got French defenders at 5 million like Koundé. I don't hate that kind of pick, but I just think in that situation where you really want a French defender, you find the 0.5 to get Theo Hernandez. There's other 5 million defenders I'd rather go for before I went for Koundé. So yeah, just get Theo Hernandez, I would say. Nothing more to it than that. And then Castagna, another player like Joachim Mena, maybe I haven't talked about quite so much. Obviously, a lot of people have got Fast in their team from Belgium. He's only 4 million. He started last night. Castagna is absolutely nailed on. There's no worries about rotation and stuff like that. I think he's head of Meunier for that kind of right back position. He hasn't got, I'm talking about Castagna now. He hasn't got as good attacking numbers as some of the other players we've already discussed, but 0.2 goals and assists per 90 is not terrible. 2 assists in 7 games during qualifying. The percentage for clean sheets for Belgium are Slovakia 41%, Romania 40%, and Ukraine 32%. So Belgium, although I would say a lot of people aren't rating them that much going into the tournament, especially for clean sheets and stuff like that, I don't know, the bookies are, right? And so that kind of appeals to me a little bit in that maybe they're stronger than people are giving them credit for, especially with the teams that they're playing. And for 5 million, you get an attacking-ish defender that's nailed on in that Belgium side. I think if Farsi is going to play at centre-back for 4 million, it's very difficult to overlook that value. But I wouldn't completely ignore Castagna, again, especially if you are someone that doesn't want to use a chip until match day 3, because Belgium look particularly strong for the first 2 games. And look, you might go for a double attack, Lukaku, De Bruyne, Trossard, maybe 2 of those 3. But if not, you could even double up on the Belgium defence. I don't think that's a completely terrible strategy. So for minutes and security of starts right now, Castagna is definitely the one, but there might be cheaper options in that Belgian defence. And then we got the defenders that cost less than €5 million. I've got to mention Tar and Mittelstadt, despite them getting a shout out in every single video I do. But this might be the first video that someone watches on the channel about Euro 2024. If you want a Germany defender, Mittelstadt is the one to go for first of all. 4 million is ridiculous value. If you want a second one, go for Tar. Simple as that. They look strong for all the group games. In terms of different 4.5 million defenders, you got Fabian Schär for Switzerland, who's absolutely nailed, good goal threat. I looked at his record for Switzerland. It's 8 goals, 6 assists in 78 games, which is not bad whatsoever. Might be decent for ball recoveries too. And the first 2 games for Switzerland in terms of clean sheet chance, they're not that bad. Hungary 36%, Scotland 34%. Much more difficult against Germany in match day 3. But for the first 2 match days, I actually quite like Schär. If you're looking for cheaper defenders, depending on the chip strategy you're on, someone who's got a bit of goal threat and is definitely going to play, he looks pretty decent for the price point. I was looking at other defenders in that Switzerland team. Widmer has played right wing back for the last 3 friendlies, and generally you would want a wing back over a centre back just for that attacking potential, but he only got past 60 minutes just in each of those games, so I'm not sure if he's worth the risk over someone like Schär, who can also get you attacker returns, as we've seen plenty of times before, especially for Newcastle, and is definitely going to play, right? So I think for safety, Schär is probably the pick from the other 4.5s outside of Germany. And for the first 2 match days, Switzerland don't look that bad whatsoever. And you've also got Zabani for Ukraine, 4.5. Not quite so much a goal threat as Fabian Schär. He's only got 1 goal in 35 games. But again, the clean sheet chances for match days 1 and 2 look quite good. Romania 35%, Slovakia 36%. Much more difficult in match day 3 against Belgium. But if you're using a chip that week, it won't matter anyway. So Zabani's quite good too. I think with both of those players, Schär and Zabani, you're getting a defender for their team cheaper than the goalkeeper. So Sommer is 5 million for Switzerland, and then Trebin is 5 million for Ukraine. Now you might find, or we might get info that actually Ukraine's number 1 goalkeeper is Lunin, who's only 4.5. In which case, if you were looking to cover Switzerland and Ukraine defences, you would go for Lunin and Schär just to keep the money down. But I don't know if we're going to find that out for sure. Trebin has played more games, but Lunin played the 2 playoff matches before, to get to the tournament. But because Lunin's with Real Madrid in the Champions League, he's going to join up late to the squad, a bit like Bellingham for England, for example. And so we might not see him play a part in any of the friendlies before the tournament. So unless the manager comes out and tells us who's the number 1, there might be a bit of doubt there, and it's probably just not worth risking. So potentially, I really like Lunin as an option for Ukraine for the first 2 match days, and I'd prefer to get Schär as the defender if I was looking a bit cheaper outside of Germany. But we don't know the goalkeeper situation for sure. So right now it looks like the cheapest way into those 2 defences, Switzerland and Ukraine, is probably through Zabani and Schär. You've also got Kerkez for Hungary, who played left wing back, or who does play left wing back, I said. Only 2 assists in 15 games so far, but still young, and there is still potential there for attacking returns. But the clean sheet chances are not that great. Switzerland, Matchday 1, 23%. Matchday 2, Germany, 9%. Almost no chance of getting a clean sheet there. And then Scotland, not so bad, Matchday 3. So I think on paper, having a left wing back for 4.5 million sounds quite good. And maybe he'll get enough attacking returns to warrant the bet against the clean sheet chances. I still think I'd prefer to go for Cher or Zabani for those first two match days, even though they don't look quite so exciting on paper. I also noticed that every time Kirkes has played left wing back, Loic Nago has also played right wing back, and he is 4 million. So he might be a cheaper way into that Hungary squad, but I don't know if he is completely nailed to start and to get good minutes. And also for an extra 0.5, or even not for an extra 0.5, right? You can literally get Mittelstadt for 4 million. But for 0.5 million more, let me get my words out properly. You know, you've got Tar, Cher, and Zabani. They're probably just worth going for safety, but also the clean sheet chances as well. And then last on the list, he's been mentioned in other videos and in this one. That's Fast from Belgium, 4 million. There's a few fans that have kind of commented on videos I've seen on Twitter as well that he hasn't necessarily played that great. He's not guaranteed to start, but Belgium do have a few injuries at the moment, and he played 90 minutes at centre-back in every game for Belgium during qualifying. So that doesn't guarantee him a spot in the team, but I think that's why a lot of people are looking at him. So let's keep an eye on the last few friendlies for all the teams, obviously going to the Euros to see what happens. And obviously if there's any major updates, I'll cover them in other videos. But that looks like potentially incredible value for just 4 million, especially with those clean sheet chances in the first two games. So in the cheap defenders, Germany's just ridiculous, right? If you're not going for a double up on Germany attack, the double up on the defence looks pretty good. And obviously we'll get the clean sheet ahead of the match day 1 deadline. And if they don't do well, you can substitute them anyway. So there is actually quite a lot of options in defence at that cheaper at the cheaper price points if you're looking to spend more money in your attack. As always, let me know in the comments below what you think of some of the players that I've mentioned. Who have I missed out that I should be talking about more? If you've enjoyed it, give it a like, hit that subscribe button, rate 5 stars if you listen on podcast, and I will catch you again tomorrow where we complete this little series with the forwards. Probably not going to do one on goalkeepers, but I'll talk about them in the match day 1 preview next week.